Guess who got some new tools? First off, my camera's broken. So I'm using my phone today and really hoping it's good sport about all the crap I used to do to it. Unfortunately, there's really no way to attach this to a tripod, so this is going to be interesting. Did I say no way to attach it to a tripod? Challenge accepted. Alright, where there's duct tape and magnets, there's a way to do anything. So here's what I got. I got some more. I got a couple things that I opened already just to make sure they're in there. Weld through primer because of cheap. This thing because it was cheap and it checks metal thickness. And something else somewhere. But here we go. Metal shaping tools, Shrinker Stretcher, and Bead Roller. These are made by Eastwood. I'm not affiliated with Eastwood in any way. They do not know I exist. But they make tools and they are cheap. Here you go. Made in China. That's how you know it's good. That's how you know it's cheap at least. So, alright. Shut up, Beardy. Open the box. Box the first. What's this? Instructions? Forget them. A couple of poles for whacking people. Awesome. Don't whack people. Violence is bad. Foam. Styrofoam. Okay. I have one in blue. Foam. Yellow. Foam. Box. Alright, this is a stretcher and a shrinker. It says so. Stretcher, yellow is stretcher, blue is shrinker. Nice, and presumably these work by sticking the piece of metal in, sticking the handle in, and going chomp, and pushing down a little. And this stretches the metal apart. It's got jaws that are supposed to just like bite and pull, and this does the opposite. I can use them on the Jeep. I have a couple of plans, especially for, well, I probably can't grab them out of there, but a couple of parts that I'm actually just going to bend like L channels and use this and then weld them together as if I knew how to do it from a single sheet, which I don't. Plus, if you're a ninja in training, here you go. I don't know if ninjas use metal rods made in China, but you know, they could. Box 2, Bead Roller Kit. Now this came with a few dies for making beads and flanges or something, but there are more mandrels you can get. Not mandrels, what am I thinking? Mandrels might be right. Dies? I don't know what things are called. But anyway, those dies, they cost $100 more than this bead roller. And that's a little ridiculous for a few pieces, but maybe it's worth it. I don't know. See, the other thing is, these were both on sale. And if you ever looked at the Eastwood website, everything is always on sale. And at that point, sale price isn't sale price, is it? It's not on sale if it's always on sale. Sale price becomes regular price, and the regular price is chump price. Like, why would you even buy something that's not on sale if it's always on sale? Very detailed instructions. That's it. That's probably all you need. Styrofoam. You might not know from looking at it, but this is like a spine breaker to lift. When it showed up, it sat on the front step until I came home to move it because my wife couldn't. Oh man, that's heavy. Oh. 1/2-inch steel plate, I think, or some thickness steel plate. This is a little more assembly required, I think. Box fresh. You can smell the freshness. Or the oil, whatever they put on it to keep it from rusting. There's a bit of oil on it. Yep, that's oil. Disheartening, there's a little nick in this one. I just pulled it out of the box and there's already a nick in it. And that's like an important edge too. Probably check out the rest of these, make sure they're okay. So of all the internet tools that I could get, this one won out because it is by far the most affordable. What I mean by that is it was cheap. I heard from some reviews that it's not going to move a lot of metal very quickly, and it helps if you have two people to work it, because it's not all that convenient. There's no motor, none of that. But for the price, I can get someone to help, because when it comes to like the really nice professionally ones, those are nice professionally prices. Like you can only afford to buy them if you're going to make a return on it financially. And there's no chance I'm going to make any money off these tools. Ooh, big manly crank. And would you look at that in there? It's pre-screwed up. I've kind of noticed this with other Eastwood tools I got. A lot of them show up pretty rough shape out of the package, but they're cheap and they seem to work. Some of them have required a little bit of fiddling to make them work properly, but they do work. What do we got here? Set screws. I mean, that might be a good motto. If you're a cheapskate and you want tools that work, even if you have to fiddle with them and you don't mind if they're made in China, check out Eastwood. That would be a terrible motto. They should not adopt that. Business would tank. But hey, that's my experience. Sometimes things come beat up, but they always work. And the price is great. More dies. Must inspect more dies. Yep, this one needs a little bit of cleanup. The other thing is, from what I hear from many people, Eastwood has a fantastic return policy and repair policy. You know, that ding might not even be that big a deal. I should stop complaining. This was a pretty good deal. Plus, you can buy more of these dies. Or even better, I bet if you found someone with a lathe who could do lathe stuff, they could just make a bunch of these things. Yeah, all the rest of this is fine. I should probably set these up and get playing with them, right? I mean, testing them to make sure they function. Okay, I've played with it a little bit just to make sure all the parts were functioning and adjusted and not going to burst into flames on me or anything. And then I drew this. I want to make beads on all of these just to kind of see how it works. So I got some where I start off and then go off, and some where I start on and then kind of unscrew. One thing I've noticed that's a little bit fiddly, most of it. These are different size bolts from these, and this is a square bolt. So you have to do a lot of it with this here crescent wrench. I know a lot of people like weld something to this or weld a longer thing with a crank. Getting it clamped in a vise is kind of tricky. Obviously, it's not freestanding. So basically, this is a bead roller. It functions. It has no extra features that make it convenient. So it hit that like perfect line of, I'm a cheapskate, don't want to pay too much, but I still want it to actually function as a bead roller, and it does. So let's do this. Ow, that is razor sharp. This is obviously an offcut of the Jeep. One last thing. They said in one of the videos not to crank this. You just kind of let it sit and then finger tight it till it touches. And that's enough tension. So this is a big, thick piece of steel, like 1/2 inch or something, but it's still flexible enough that it'll move up when I put this in. Right, here we go. Getting it started. And now crank, crank, crank. One of the people in their videos crouched and did a pirate squint, he said. Yep, no, definitely need a second person for this part. Around? I'm not tracking on my Sharpie line. Very true. And off. Oh geez, Falling Hammers. Not good. Falling Hammers, good band name. A bead. It works. It does its job. So to do the rest of these, you got to start in. I crank it 3 turns. Lift. This top one is loose. Go in, set it down on top of the thing. And then tighten it 3 turns. Seriously, like a hand crank would just be fantastic. I mean, otherwise you have to count your cranks. I can't count to 3 that effectively. The wrench here is scraping up the paint. It's a tool. It's not going to stay pretty for very long. I don't buy a tool to let it sit in the garage. Now I loosen it the 3 turns. Boom. And there you go. A bead that with a start and a stop. Cool, huh? Now for the rest of them. One important thing to remember, cranking this down, cranking these down, the set screws in these, this is all made in China. Don't crank down. Just kind of snug and you're good. So this may be really, really heavy, made out of steel, but treat it like glass and it won't break on you. You know, move a little bit of metal at a time, it'll work. It won't move a lot of metal and really thick metal very quickly, but treat it gentle. It's like a delicate snowflake. If you don't keep it gently refrigerated, it'll never make it here from China. Honestly, I've found so many people online who modify these things to make them much, much better. I mean, that's definitely an option. I think a lot of people especially try to stiffen them up because they have some flex in here, add some bracing, maybe add a motor to it, add a handle to this, a stand, something like that. Boom, pattern, only a little bit of warpage. I hear warpage is somewhat normal, especially if you get a whole bunch of beads all in one place. And I did nothing to pre-stretch it, so it worked. There, works as advertised. See, that's why I can't be too upset that it was kind of scraped up and there was a nick in a thing, because it works. And it can double as workout equipment. You know, curling. I think this thing weighs like 60 pounds. Definitely doesn't feel good on... Still not totally healed carpal tunnel wrists. Where am I going to put this thing down? This one also comes complete without stand, but it's cheaper because of it. And a vise works in the stand, so they don't force you to buy a stand, although they do sell a stand. This is what I mean with the whole fiddly thing. When you get it, you gotta fiddle with it. Where did that other Allen wrench go? How am I losing things? I just organized this place. Here it is. And that sort of helped. Sure, why not? We'll pretend that's good. Okay, it functions. Random piece of metal. This is the shrinker. Supposedly, if you shrink an edge, it'll want to pull down. So let's see if that happens. Now, I think I saw the video. The guy, he wouldn't like crank on the thing because it can break, but you know, just give it a good push, a firm push. I don't see a difference. Firmer push time. Maybe I'm trying to shrink too much metal. I was pushing it a little. I was pushing it all the way in the throat. So just a little bit. Ooh, that felt significantly different. Oh, it actually did something. Huh. That's probably the most awkward way to hold that. To push. So I'm not forcing it. I'm just kind of letting the teeth bite down, giving it just a little bit. You can feel the metal move actually. Boom. A really gnarled up, jaggedy shrunk edge. But it's shrunk, so it worked. Hooray! Presumably the stretcher will work exactly the same. And really, stretching metal I wasn't really worried about because you can stretch metal in a million different ways. But shrinking, it's freaking hard to do with only hammers. I sure had a hard time doing it. And now I don't have to worry. I'll probably still have to worry. A lot of things this can't shrink. And for all of those, I probably won't be able to shrink either. But someone theoretically could. So admittedly, I kind of cranked it really hard every time. I know I said I wasn't cranking hard, but what it really meant is I wasn't shoving all of my weight, forcing it to shrink. It was just shrinking a lot. So this is going to take more of a delicate touch. Although it did function, so good job there. This brings so many opportunities, so many bad ideas. I'm going to bead roll everything. Roll all the things. The Jeep, I designed it without any beads. I didn't give any thought to where I was going to place beads. Now I'm going to have to give a lot of thought to where I'm going to place beads on everything. Absolutely everything. It's going to be glorious and time consuming. I really have to get that done because the kid's going to have like a driver's license by the time I get to paint, unless I really step it up. Also for the record, I tried the flange dies. It makes a flange. See? It works. And if anyone out there has a really good reason why I can't just find a friend with a lathe and have them make me up a bunch more of these in different designs, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to find a friend with a lathe, so I'll have to find some way to pay them. Maybe money, but who has any of that? I had a little bit from the tax return, and now it's gone. Different microphone voice. You people leave a lot of comments, and I want to respond to them at the end of videos from now on. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. First comment, Not Tayeb, says, next episode, organizing the miscellaneous shelf. Imagine the kind of relics that could be lurking there. I doubt that's going to happen. If I dig too much into there, I'll probably end up in Narnia. Fellow bearded man, warped legacy. So you just carry copper pipes around in your pocket? Yeah, sometimes. You mean you don't? Multiple people. Dude, you need more spring clamps. Yes, I do. You can never have too many clamps. I need more clamp varieties, though. Alright, I think that's all I have time for. Okay, thanks, bye.